Good morning, iPhone sales team. Do we think that introducing a new color in the spring will increase 14 Plus sales? No, Tim, I think that the price is the reason people don't like the 14 Plus, not the colors. I guess you're right. The first colors we picked were pretty good. No, they weren't. But, Tim, I think the main problem with the 14 Plus isn't the phone itself, it's just poorly priced. I'm not sure I understand. Okay, well, when the price of the 14 Plus is so close to the Pros, most people are just gonna go for the Pros anyway, because they clearly know that's the better phone. Oh, okay, the price. The 14 Plus price, too close to the Pros, right? Yes, I think if we just charged a bit less for the entry-level iPhones, they would sell way better. Okay, gotcha. We'll take that into consideration with next year's pricing. Good. Actually... What? Well, you see, you said that the main problem is that it's too close to the price of the Pros. Yeah, that's why we gotta lower the prices. No, I think what we mainly need to do is increase the price of the Pros. That way there's more of a gap. Tim, we can't do that. No, the Pros are already over $1,000. You want to raise them more? The price was too close. I should have said high. I meant high. I meant the price is too high. Don't think about the Pros, Tim. You got that idea in my head. I think people will be very happy to spend the extra money on the iPhone 15 Ultra. Oh god, we better run some Apple Card promos. Oh yes, how's the Apple Card doing as well? We lost like $1 billion on that, Tim. Yikes, better get shipping that headset then. I gotta work at a different company. I can't do this. There's been lots of leaks and rumors brewing, and I thought it might be easy to just kind of recap everything that's rumored for the iPhone 15 lineup right now. But of course, keep in mind, the production has not started yet, designs are not final, but this is kind of an interesting time because several months have passed since the launch of the iPhone 14 Pros and 14 Plus, so a lot of people are wondering, should I just buy now or should I wait for the 15? No one really knows what the 15 is going to offer, but here's what's currently rumored to happen. So, screen sizes are the same across the board. 4 iPhones, 2 of them 6.1 inches and the other 2 6.7 inches. So no change really in the size realm. This means we'll have an iPhone 15, a 15 Plus, and then a 15 Pro, and then something higher end. There's a lot of talk about whether or not they'll call it 15 Ultra or maybe 15 Pro Max, but you get the picture, same kind of lineup as the 14. More recently, the disappointing news is that to improve the pricing structure of the horribly selling iPhone Plus model, it sounds like Apple wants to raise prices on the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. And the huge bummer about that one is, of course, that we don't want prices to go up ever. However, they're probably right in assuming that most people are really gonna buy the Pro one, especially because USB-C is rumored to come to all 4 iPhones. It's not just the Pros. There's been no recent reports of Apple going portless or anything like that, not only to accommodate for the EU, but also just for more selling points to the iPhone. Ming-Chi Kuo, who's been very accurate on iPhones far in advance, is the one saying that they might put a slow USB-C port on the regular 15 and 15 Plus, and then put a higher speed, potentially even Thunderbolt capable Type-C port on the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. So because that sounds like a pretty big upgrade, and we've been asking for Type-C on the iPhone for so many years, they probably know that we'll be so excited and so pumped for all the other features that we're not even gonna think much about the price hike. Plus, an easy way they can instigate a price hike without it really feeling like one is just dropping the 128 gig storage option for the Pros, because already if you want 256 gigs or more on the 14 Pro and 14 Pro Max, then it starts at $1,100 and $1,200 already. So if they just drop 128 gigs, they can say, well, technically the price didn't really go up. We're just asking that you have to get the extra storage. Although that's more speculative on my part. There's currently no rumors talking about the 256 gig becoming a default thing on the Pros, but it just feels likely to me after we've had 128 gig standard on the iPhone 12 Pro, 13 Pro, and now 14 Pro. Stands for reason that 2023 is the year Apple would double it up again. And unfortunately, that does mean that the pricing of the regular 15 and 15 Plus would probably stay, starting at $829 unlocked and $929 unlocked for the 15 Plus. Yeah, still kind of a hard bargain if you consider that the rumors are saying the regular iPhone 15s will still have a 60 Hz display and ProMotion will still be restricted to the Pros. Pros, which I think is going to be the biggest deal breaker for the tech community, and no one's really going to care in the average consumer space. The most noticeable upgrade across the board for the regular iPhone 15 displays is Dynamic Island, according to Ross Young, is coming to every single iPhone 15. So if you like what you see with those little animations at the top on the 14 Pro series, well, you're in luck because they're going to bring that to a cheaper iPhone this year based on the recent supply chain orders. So that at least makes it a noticeable improvement. And even though the 60 Hz display is a bit of a bummer, I got to admit that the iPhone 15 and even the 15 Plus, in my opinion, sounds like a much bigger upgrade than the iPhone 14 and 14 Plus was. Just like, especially on the smaller size, you could barely tell the difference from the outside of the phone. Like, it's the same camera arrangement, it's the same notch, it's the same display. 13 to 14 was just so absurdly similar. But now, with the iPhone 15, even without promotion, you get Dynamic Island, which is noticeable the second you turn the display on. Even if it's not like that big of a feature and everybody's kind of whelmed by it, at least you can tell just by looking at the front that it exists, and this is definitely a 15 Plus. We're getting USB Type-C. Even if it's the slower speed one, I don't think most people are using the ports on their phone for transferring data. It's mostly for charging. That means that an $829 iPhone will finally be able to charge with the same cable you can charge your MacBook and your iPad with. At that point, all we need is MagSafe Duo to support USB-C, and then you can have one brick, one cable, and MagSafe Duo charge everything in your Apple ecosystem, and that sounds pretty great to me. So I'm still excited for Type-C, but that's not the only upgrades worth mentioning. More recently, there's been talk that Apple wants to accommodate for the 48 megapixel sensor, which is the huge, raw, capable sensor that they put on the iPhone 14 Pro series, and bringing that to the main lens of the regular iPhone 15 and 15 Plus, which, okay, more megapixels is cool, but we all know that doesn't really mean anything. The biggest win in my book, though, is that this could enable the 2x optical zoom to come back to the 15 and 15 Plus. So now, even if you only have two cameras on the back of your cheaper iPhone, you'll have the option to do 0.5x with the ultra-wide, 1x, which will look really high quality, and 2x if you want a little bit better zoom quality, again, without the need of a telephoto lens. So I think that would be a welcome addition. And because Apple had their awkward year last year where they decided to reuse the A15 chip on the regular 14 and 14 Plus, the iPhone 15 lineup seems to be going somewhat back to normal now, where the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus will have the A16 chip, which is pretty capable, pretty fast. That's what we have in the 14 Pros. And then they'll reserve the A17 chip for the iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Ultra. And that hopefully will be based on the 3nm architecture as well. So that could mean battery life improvements, speed improvements as well. But knowing it's Apple, based on the performance of the A16 chip, I don't think there's going to be much of an emphasis on super fast GPU performance. It's mostly going to be about just not overheating and prioritizing efficiency, because we're kind of reaching the limits of what our phones can do computationally, unless perhaps they upgrade the cameras to support some, 4K 60 cinematic mode or 4K at 60 ProRes, but that's more speculative. No one's told us that's going to happen yet. So I think the A17 chip on the Pros is probably going to enable 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is pretty great, but how Apple is going to take advantage of that RAM, we don't exactly know yet. I'm still holding up hope that maybe if they accommodate for Thunderbolt on those iPhones, then you could dock it with an external monitor and have maybe not macOS per se, but at least Stage Manager on a big screen, and then Apple can have their own version of Samsung Dex, so your iPhone can start to replace your Mac or something. I don't know. A17 chip is probably going to be pretty freaking fast, so you could probably even just straight up boot macOS off that thing, It would have the 8 gigabytes of RAM, it would have the CPU speed, so I don't know. I just think it would be cool if they came up with new use cases for the iPhone. But if you're not interested in all of the techie specky details, the other good news is that there's rumored to be a redesign, a little bit at least, on the chassis, where they round off the back a bit more into the glass, which in my opinion is better for comfortability. I've seen people disagree with me. They're wrong. That's fine. But to finally get a rounded back again with a flat front so that we basically go home to the original iPhone chassis design, but still have all of this futuristic tech like the Dynamic Island, Face ID, ProMotion, and of course a very capable camera system like the iPhone 15 Ultra, specifically the 6.7-inch model, is rumored to accommodate for a periscope lens. And we're not sure yet on how far a zoom that's going to be, but definitely better than 3x, so maybe in the realm of 5x to 10x, and then just the giant iPhone will have really, really good zoom. Maybe that's why they call it Ultra, but so far the rumors are claiming that they're not going to be able to build that periscope lens into the 6.1-inch option, and that may be the reason they decide to just call that one the Pro, but it's not quite, Ultra levels levels of camera performance. I'm sorry for those of you who want the best possible camera in the small form factor, but sometimes you're just limited by physical space and there's no way around that. Some more speculative things I'm hopeful for is with the adoption of Type-C, this would be a great time to accommodate for faster charging speeds. The iPhone basically has capped out, you know, a little over 20 watts for the longest time. It would be great to see it get faster than that, and with the opening up of Qi 2, I also think it would be great if this year MagSafe could support faster charging speeds. That way Apple could boast about like their made for iPhone MagSafe versus Qi 2 only being capable of however much speed you can get. But that pretty much summarizes all the changes. In my opinion, this does actually sound like kind of a decent year. I know in the past few years I've been saying this iPhone upgrade doesn't sound like a very exciting one, but this one feels like a pretty decent number of changes. Redesign, new port, new displays coming to the smaller options, better chips with new architectures, better battery lives. Let's see how Apple messes this one up, right? Let me know what you're most excited for down in the comments below, and thank you to everybody supporting this channel through Tailosive Tech Pro. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So this is your Apple Sheep here. I'll see y'all in the next one.